A very good day to Miss Lana. We are Group 5, and today we'll be presenting about our Financial Math 1 group project, which is financial planning. My name is Chua Yu, and I'll first start with introducing this project. So our project is about preparing a long-term financial plan for a 23-year-old fresh graduate. So this character has a low risk tolerance and prefers stable investments. So our plan focuses on savings, EPF, fixed income investment, and affordable major life goals. So the main purpose is to check whether the character can afford a car, marriage, house, the child expenses, emergency fund, and retirement while staying financially stable.
My name is Liu Hui-Qi, and I will be presenting the assumption, salary, and living expenses section of our financial planning project. First, let's begin with the assumption. For this section, I will briefly explain the key assumption, while the detailed calculation will be presented later by my teammates. Our character is Yong Tau Fu, a 23-years-old Malaysian who worked as a data analyst in Cheras, with a starting monthly gross salary of 4K. We assume that he has a simple lifestyle and all financial value are presented in Malaysian ringgit. We fix our current age, project end age, and others based on the coursework requirements. We assume that salary increase are promotion based every 2 to 5 years, future expenses follow inflation, and the employee contribution 11% of the monthly salary to EPF. The character buy his first car at age 26, get married at age 28, purchase a house at 39, and has one child at 30 and retire at 65 years old. Then we move on to the salary part. Instead of increasing by a fixed amount every year, the salary follow career promotion from junior analyst to mid-level analyst and finally senior analyst. Salary increase are more noticeable during the early and middle stage of the career as the character gains experience and take on greater responsibility. In the later stage, salary growth become more stable. The salary table include the monthly and annual gross salary, the monthly and annual EPF contribution, as well as the monthly and annual net salary. The annual value are calculated by multiplying the monthly value by 12, while the monthly net salary is obtained by deducting the employee's 11% EPF contribution from the monthly gross salary. Then let's move on to the living expenses. From age 23 to 25, the character monthly living expenses mainly consist of grocery and eating out, rent, utility and internet, a mobile plan, public transportation, personal insurance, and entertainment. At age 26, after purchasing the first car, public transportation expenses are replaced by fuel and toll expenses. At age 28, grocery and accommodation expenses increase after marriage as the character begin with supporting a family. At age 39, rental expenses are removed after purchasing a house. The character replaces the car every 10 years, so transportation-related operating costs gradually increase over time. Overall, although living expenses increase because of inflation and major life events, the salary also grows through career progression. Therefore, the character is able to maintain a sustainable financial position. That's all for my part. Thank you, and I will pass it to my teammate.
Now I want to show the EPF part. As you can see, this is the conclusion chart sheet after the calculate by some key formula. Every month when gaining salary, 11% of salary will be deducted. Also, the employer must pay another part of EPF for him, which is calculated by monthly gross salary times employer contribution rate. And how to confirm the employer contribution rate? By the rule of KWSP, if the salary less than 5,000 ringgit, the employer contribution rate is 13%. If more than 5,000 ringgit, the rate changes to 12%. As you can see, I use a E formula in Excel to calculate the value influenced by ETF rate. So the total monthly EPF payment include two parts. The first part is from Yong Tau Fu's salary and another part is employer contribution. The monthly EPF is the combination of them. And obviously, the annual total EPF is 12 times monthly payment. And how do we get the EPF return? We use the combination of previous year ending balance and the EPF this year times the EPF dividend rate. So by the same logic, we can get the ending balance by combining all of the previous EPF balance and the annual total EPF, then plus the return and minus the withdrawal in 39 years old. In this chart, we can see the milestone of his EPF payment. At the age of 23, his career start and his salary lower than 5,000, so the total EPF rate is 11% plus 13% equals to 24%. At the age of 39, he withdrew 30,000 ringgit for his house. Then at the age of 56, there comes to his peak of career. At the age of 64, we can see before his retirement, the final accumulation become about 4 million ringgit. Then I want to show the retirement part. As you can see, the final monthly salary has become 25,000 ringgit per month, and the final EPF balance is about 4 million. So how can he plan and use his money for the retirement? We set the monthly expense after retirement as 50% of the last year monthly salary before retirement, which is 12,500 ringgit. So the annual is 150,000. The retirement period will last 36 years, and so our retirement fund target is the previous value of 36 times 150,000. Then compare the target with our EPF balance. We can see the surplus is about 1.4 million ringgit. It is very enough.
Hello, I am Social Ming. Now I will explain our car plan. Okay, we assume our character will buy his first car at 26 years old and replace the car every 10 years. And we also use the 2% annual inflation rate. Okay, and then we assume the car loan period is 7 years and the flat interest rate is 3.75% and the down payment rate is 10%. And all these assumptions are based on Maybank information. And then you can see the four cars selected from for different life stage lah. And he start with an affordable Myvi and then later change to a larger and more comfortable car. Okay, and this table show the current car price of each car, and all price are based on the latest available price and may change later. Okay, and this is the annual road tax for each car, and the amount depend on the engine capacity and the vehicle type. Okay, and this table show the estimated average annual maintenance cost, and the amount are based on the service information. Okay, then we also estimate a different depreciation rate for each car, and the car value decrease every year based on this rate. Okay, and the future car price is calculated using the current price and inflation rate, and the down payment is 10% of the future car price. Okay, then the loan amount is the future car price minus down payment, and the total interest is calculated using the flat interest rates and the 7 years long loan period, and the total repayment is sum of them lah. Okay, and then the total repayment is divided by the total repayment is divided by 84 months to get the monthly installment. And you can see the installment increase for the more expensive car. Okay, and then when a car is replaced, its resale value become cash inflow. Okay, the maintenance cost is also adjusted using the 2% inflation rate. Okay, we will use these two formula to calculate them. Okay, and then this is the full car cash flow table from 26 years old to 64 years old. And our goal is to compute the annual car cost. Okay, and then this slide summarizes how the annual car cost is calculated, and the items shown here are the detail of the cost mentioned earlier. And the annual car costs include the loan payment, down payment, road tax, insurance, and the maintenance. Okay, maintenance fee. And then the affordability ratio compare this cost with the annual net salary. Okay. And then for the first Myvi, okay, the cost is higher during the 7-year loan period. After the loan end, okay, the annual cost become much lower. You can see, okay, much lower now. And then, at 36 years old, the Myvi is sold and replaced by the Proton X70. You can see the resale inflow and the new down payment is here. Okay, and at 46 years old, the X70 is replaced by Proton X50, and the same calculation method is used here. And at 56 years old, the X50 is replaced by the Honda Civic. And this is the final car before retirement. Okay, and then these are the main limitation of our car plan. Actual cost, resale value, car choice, and the loan approved may change in the future lah. Okay, this is the limitation. Okay, and then next I will explain the Mary Plancha. Okay, and this table show the estimated current wedding cost. They include the banquet, photography, range, makeup, and buffer for tax, service charge, and other small costs. Okay, and the current wedding budget is around 60,000. Okay, he planned to marry after 5 years, and we assume the total cost is shared equally by both partner. Okay, so we'll 50%. Okay, and after applying 2% inflation for 5 years, the future wedding budget is about 66,000. Therefore, his required personal marriage fund is about 33,000. Okay.
I will now continue the second part of the life goals. So first we'll start with the house. So this is our general assumptions for the housing plan. The character is assumed to purchase a house at the age of 39, and the loaning period will be 31 years with the 3.9% of interest rate. Then we will apply a 2% inflation rate to estimate the future housing price and as well as a 10% down payment rate. Then these are all the calculations for the house with the current house price of 510,000, and we will then calculate the future house price, down payment, loan payment, monthly and annual installment with the formulas as shown here. We have also considered the renovation and furniture budget at the house closing age. We estimate the total cost would be around 70,000 ringgit. And moving on, the character will withdraw EPF funds to help with paying the down payment. So to find out the maximum amount that we can use, we use the EPF balance at the age 39 to find out the account Sejahtera balance, which is 50% of the amount, and then we will compare it with this amount. And since account Sejahtera balance is lower, we will withdraw money based on it. Although the maximum eligible withdrawal is around 69,000, we only use 30,000 as a conservative withdrawal, and therefore the cash later that was needed after the withdrawal becomes around 110,000. Then this will be the monthly and annual house cost for the rest of the 31 loan period. So after that, we will move on to child expenses. So the character is assumed to have one child at age 30, which is 2 years after marriage. These are the monthly expenses from 0 to 23, and we divide it by age group since the cost changes as the child grows. Then this is the monthly and annual cost that we have calculated based on the formulas here. And that is it for my part.
And now I will explain the emergency fund. Okay, you can see here first. We said the annual essential expenses include the living expenses, car costs, house loan payment, and the child costs. Okay, and the annual emergency fund target is set at 6 months of this essential expenses. Okay, and then you see here after 65 years old, the retirement living expenses are assumed to include the transportation and the car related costs. And so from 70 years old onward, the target stay unchanged because the retirement living expenses are fixed and no additional car, housing, and child expenses are included. Okay, so then the detailed emergency fund saving plan will explain by my group member in the next session. Okay.
Now I will present the saving and cash flow plan. This part explains how the character allocates money into different funds and how the cash flow is managed across different life stages. We start with the saving plan. The saving plan is divided into 3 funds. The emergency fund is for unexpected expenses and is placed in the saving account. The financial goal fund is for car, marriage, and house expenses. The retirement fund is for retirement shortfall. Since the character has conservative risk tolerance, both the financial goal fund and retirement fund are placed in fixed deposit account. The saving account rate is 0.25% per annum, while the fixed deposit account rate is 2.05% per annum. This slide shows how the value are calculated. For the emergency fund, the saving account rate is treated as an annual effective rate, so we convert it into a monthly rate. For the financial goal fund and retirement fund, the fixed deposit rate is treated as a nominal annual rate compounded monthly. So the monthly rate is 0.0205 divided by 12. The beginning fund is simply the previous year ending balance ending fund. Then we calculate the return and ending fund. The example shows the emergency fund at age 23, where the return is 6 ringgit and 18 cents, and the ending fund is 5,406 ringgit and 18 cents. During the working period from age 23 to 29, the character builds all 3 funds based on the available cash flow. From age 30 to 32, there is negative net cash flow, so no money deposit is made. From age 33 to 64, retirement saving increase with salary. The emergency fund is also compared with the annual emergency fund target. Although it is below the target in the early years, it gradually increases and becomes sufficient before retirement. After age 65, there is no salary and no new deposit. The plan changes from saving to withdrawing. EPF is used first for retirement expenses, and the retirement fund is used only when EPF is no longer enough. Next is the cash flow plan. Net cash flow is calculated by subtracting the total cost after withdrawal from the annual net salary. Then, the total annual deposit is deducted from the net cash flow to get the net cash flow after deposit. If the net cash flow after deposit is negative before retirement, the emergency fund can be used to cover the shortfall. After retirement, EPF is used first to cover retirement expenses. If EPF is exhausted, the retirement fund covers the remaining shortfall. At age 23, the annual net salary is 42,720 ringgit, and the total cost after withdrawal is 25,560 ringgit. So the net cash flow is 17,160 ringgit. After depositing 17,160 ringgit into the funds, the net cash flow after deposit becomes 0. Since no emergency withdrawal or EPF coverage is needed, the amount remains 0. The net cash flow checks whether the plan is affordable each year. Before retirement, positive net cash flow is deposited and negative net cash flow is covered by the emergency fund. After retirement, EPF is used first, then the retirement fund covers the remaining shortfall. Now I will discuss the limitation of the plan. There are 4 main limitations. First, unexpected expenses or job instability may reduce regular saving. Second, saving account and fixed deposit rate may change over time. Third, the retirement plan depends on EPF coverage, so changes in EPF policy or dividend performance may affect the result. Finally, deposits, withdrawals, and interest crediting may happen on different dates, so the actual balances may be slightly different from the calculated values. Thank you.
Now I want to show the financial advice part. We concluded 4 advice about Yong Tau Foo's finance situation. First part is about post-child reallocation. We advise him that when child turns 18, we allocate the education savings to a retirement catch-up fund, because the child enter university means the large expense ends, can turn into another investment. Second advice is he can consider the EPF account 3 and use this flexible to prepare for emergency. This is a special EPF system in Malaysia. Third advice is about sinking fund for vehicles replacement. Since he wanna change his car about every 10 years, so he can consider set up a monthly sinking fund to prepare money for the car buying. This is also a low risk and highly doable long-term plan. And the last advice is about wealth preservation and intergenerational wealth transfer. Since the EPF contribution, he have a 1.4 million ringgit surplus after paid for all life consuming during the retirement. He can make a plan to give these millions of heritage for his only child.
Okay, contribution. This is our member contribution for this project. Okay, and then this is our reference. Okay, the reference for assumption, salary, living expenses, EPF, retirement, car, marriage, a emergency fund, a house, child saving plan. Thank you.